Hello and welcome. This is Giant Redwood, and you're about to witness powerful machines transforming timber into sawdust through dangerous, thrilling, and challenging processes. Beyond that, you'll see a skilled carpenter crafting stunning masterpieces out of raw wood. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment to join us on this incredible journey. Amid piles of logs scattered across a sprawling yard, the HM6420 wood crusher stands like a giant steel beast, roaring as the forest wind whispers through timber stacked high as hills. Huge trunks, tough as the backbone of an ancient forest, are hoisted by a crane and dropped into the crushing chamber. Inside, the massive rotating shaft and sharp steel blades spin relentlessly, grabbing the wood, tearing off the bark, shredding the trunks into neat, uniform chips. The crack and snap of timber breaking apart and the grinding roar of steel echo powerfully through the yard, blending with the deep growl of the HM6420's engine that makes the ground tremble. Fine dust rises in golden clouds, the scent of fresh wood mixing with machine oil clinging to the clothes and hair of workers keeping watch. Each ton of timber that passes through the HM6420 demands both brute strength and careful eyes. One stubborn log can jam the system, so the operator stands ready, ensuring the crusher never stops unexpectedly. Once shredded, the wood chips spill out onto conveyors, piling up into mounds of sawdust ready to become fuel pellets, biomass, or paper pulp. The machine's relentless hum sounds like the heavy breathing of a steel beast taming the wild forest for humankind. When dusk falls, the HM6420 stands tall amid empty log piles, its engine finally silenced. The worker wipes sweat from his brow, switches off the controls, and watches the mountain of wood chips that now waits to warm homes far away, carrying the forest's breath into firesides and new stories for generations to come. In a clearing littered with old, stubborn stumps, the stump grinder growls to life like a steel beast ready to bite deep into the earth's roots. Its grinding head spins fast, screeching as it digs into gnarled wood that has clung to the ground for years. Each plunge of the grinder tears decayed wood and thick roots apart, mixing splinters with soil and stones, leaving behind a flat, open patch ready for new work. The crunch of steel chewing through wood echoes through the clearing as sawdust and the scent of fresh sap cling to the operator's clothes. Inside the cab, the operator grips the controls tight, eyes locked on the spinning grinder. One stubborn root could jam the blade in an instant. But when the last stump finally crumbles, the earth lies calm again, ready to nurture new saplings rising from the very place that once held old giants. Deep within the old forest, the chainsaw's roar tears through the silence. The forestry worker grips the saw tight, pulls the starter cord, and the chain begins to spin like steel teeth hungry for wood. Each time the blade bites into a thick trunk, sawdust bursts into the air, and the fresh scent of timber mixes with the sharp smell of engine oil. The crack of wood splitting, the steady snarl of the chain, and the whisper of wind through the canopy create a raw, powerful symphony in the heart of the woods. The worker circles the tree, adjusting the angle of each cut to ensure the massive trunk falls true, avoiding the deadly risk of a backward drop. Calloused hands stay locked on the grip, eyes fixed on the deepening groove cutting through the sturdy grain. When the tree finally leans and crashes to the ground, the earth trembles under its weight. Branches snap and fall silent until the chainsaw's roar rises again at the base of the next tree. Small but fearsome, the chainsaw is the worker's loyal companion, turning ancient timber into beams and planks that build homes and bridges, carrying the forest's breath far and wide. Deep within an untouched forest, the excavator rumbles to life, its steel arm stretching forward with a spinning tree-cutting head roaring at its tip. The blade spins like rows of steel teeth biting into thick trunks that stand like the forest's ancient backbone. Each time the blade sinks in, the dry crack of splintering wood echoes, and fresh sawdust drifts through the air, carrying the sharp scent of raw sap. Inside the sealed cab, the operator sits steady, eyes fixed on the trunk as it leans and topples under the saw's relentless bite. At the edge of the forest, the excavator growls as its steel arm stretches out, carrying a spinning shaft brush cutter. Its blades whirl fiercely, clearing thick weeds and tangled underbrush in seconds. The sharp whir of blades slicing through vines rings out, mixing with the fresh scent of cut grass drifting through the air. Beneath the cleared brush, dark brown earth is revealed, ready for new roads and projects to rise in what was once untamed wilderness. Inside a cluttered timber yard, the wood crusher roars to life, its steel chamber growling as the blades spin like steel teeth. Heavy logs are hoisted onto the conveyor, rolling steadily toward the grinding maw. Each time the blades bite in, the dry snap of splintering wood echoes through the yard, and a cloud of sawdust fills the air. The conveyor keeps moving, feeding log after log into the crusher, then carrying the fresh wood chips down the line. Inside a vast lumber workshop, the industrial wood saw hums steadily, like the heartbeat of the entire shop. Long logs roll onto the conveyor belt where sharp steel blades spin fast, slicing rough timber into smooth, flat boards. Each time the blade bites in, a spray of pale sawdust bursts out, coating the shop floor in a soft, dusty blanket. The craftsman stands close by, eyes locked on the cutting line, ready to adjust the feed if the plank starts to warp. The hum of the saw mixes with the fresh scent of timber sap and the tang of machine oil, creating a familiar symphony only a seasoned woodworker knows. Beside the conveyor, the newly cut boards stack up neatly, waiting to be planed smooth and finished with care. The industrial wood saw might look simple, but inside it hides raw steel power and danger. One careless moment, and the spinning blade can leave a scar that lasts a lifetime. As the saw slows to a stop, the craftsman stands among the fresh boards, hands dusty, eyes proud of the quiet, patient craft that brings the forest's gift into every home. Amid swirling dust at the construction site, the hopper rock crusher growls to life, taking in huge stones dropped from a loader. The rocks tumble into the grinding chamber, where steel gears crush them into gravel. Broken stone drops onto a conveyor belt, feeding straight to the sand screening line. Vibrating screens hum and shake, sorting fine sand from gravel as pebbles clatter against steel. The worker watches every load, eyes fixed on the clean stream of gravel and smooth sand, ready to lay the foundations for roads and buildings rising from the raw earth. On the edge of a wild, overgrown plot, the wheel loader rumbles to life. Its steel arm lowers a spinning disc brush cutter, roaring like a giant blade slicing through shoulder-high grass and tangled underbrush wrapped tight around old stumps. The sharp hiss of steel cutting stems fills the air, mixing with the scent of fresh cut weeds and drifting dust that clings to the cab's windows. Inside, the operator grips the controls tight, eyes locked on the path ahead, knowing a hidden root or stubborn stump could make the spinning disc kick back in an instant. With each pass of his disc, more rough ground is cleared, transforming the wild into smooth earth ready for new roads or fresh forest planting. Behind the loader, the bucket sweeps up the shredded brush, pushing it into neat piles ready to be burned or mulched. The hum of the loader's engine blends with the shrill whine of the disc blade, echoing across the open land. As dusk settles over the clearing, the disc finally slows to silence, and the wheel loader sits still amid the tidy swathes of bare earth. The scent of fresh grass and diesel lingers on the worker's sleeves, a quiet reminder of the hidden danger and steady hands needed to tame the wild. Inside the sawmill, the lumber processing line hums steadily, like the heartbeat of the whole workshop. Rough logs roll onto the conveyor, where spinning steel blades slice them into smooth, even boards. The high-pitched buzz of the blades mixes with the scent of fresh timber and drifting sawdust. A worker stands close, eyes fixed on the cut, hands ready to guide each shifting plank. When the last board stacks neatly at the end, the machines slow to silence, leaving behind the hum of steel and the forest's breath, ready to become rooftops, tables, and the warm heart of every home. Amid piles of rough timber, the combined cutting and splitting line roars to life, ready for a long day's work. Long logs feed into the saw first, where the spinning steel blade slices each trunk into neat, equal segments. Each piece then moves straight to the splitter. A heavy, cross-shaped wedge drops down, cleaving the logs into tidy firewood sticks, stacked and waiting for the next truck. The crack of splitting timber and the steady whir of engines blend into a raw, rhythmic song across the dusty yard. The operator watches every cut and split, hands ready to halt the line if a stubborn log jams the blade. By the time the last load rolls out, the machines go quiet, leaving the sharp scent of fresh wood and the sweat on the workers' calloused hands, a reminder of the forest's strength tamed one log at a time. In a corner of the woodshop, the handheld disc saw roars to life, its spinning steel blade letting out a sharp, steady whine. The craftsman grips the handle firmly, guiding the blade smoothly through the thick plank. Sawdust flies, settling on gloves and sleeves as the blade bites cleanly into the grain. The hiss of the disc cutting wood mixes with the fresh scent of timber and the tang of machine oil. One small slip, and that razor-sharp blade could leave a scar for life. But in skilled hands, every cut stays true, shaping each piece of wood into parts ready to become furniture and rooftops, carrying the forest's warmth into every home.